In 1972, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit. These men promptly escaped from maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles underground. Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, maybe you can hire the A.
Whoa. No, dude, it's a Star Wars week, mate. Month even. Star Wars month.
Is it?
Yeah.
You sure?
Of course it is.
Oh, for fuck. And welcome back to the Geeky Dads podcast, episode 18 for Star Wars month. And this week we're talking about the Star Wars original trilogy. Hello.
Woohoo!
Howdy.
So this week, there's no Mike with us this week, but I am joined as always by Craig.
Howdy.
And Christopher.
Ian, I am not your father.
Well, that's good because I'm older than you, so that'd be very awkward.
It would a little bit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, how has everybody been?
Aye. Plodding on.
Yeah. Tired. But it's all good.
Tired, but it's all good. Well, that's brilliant. I think we're finally getting back into a rhythm of recording now after absences and COVID and injuries and everything else in between. Plague,
volcanoes.
Yeah. Has it been volcanoes? Where's the volcanoes happen?
There has, just not, to be fair, not in my local vicinity, but I have heard tell of giant exploding mountains in the world.
Really?
So,
okay.
there you
Fair enough. There you go. Well, has anybody been watching or binging anything recently?
I was just saying to Chris before, I've been watching the Alien movies.
Oh, that on Disney Plus?
Yeah, well, what it was is I was watching Prometheus, and I didn't realise they did a movie after that called Alien Covenant.
Yeah, it's shite.
And I didn't know that movie exists, so I only watched that I think it was just the day before I finished watching it. And I enjoyed it. Thought it was good. Like I said, they are confusing the movies because I don't know if they're meant to be prequels or are they meant to be after.
No, they're prequels.
No, the prequels.
The prequels.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is on the first Alien movie, the planet that they land on, is that the first planet that the Prometheus fell on?
No.
Or is it the one that the Covenant fell on, or the one where the Covenant went to? Because the ship that they go on to is the one that the creators had. It was the big, like, almost circle ship.
Yeah. It's not the ship from that film. It's not the same planet. It's just the same ship, so the same species.
Okay. So, like, that's what's confused me with it, like, just the time scale of it and that. But like I say, I enjoyed it. Well, it's good.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was. What was I going to say? I didn't find it overly enjoyable. I'll be honest with you. I think it was just. I mean, it was all right for a sequel, but it's. Yeah. I thought Prometheus was okay.
But what I was saying to Chris, then, what I liked about it is like I thought it was like the first proper good one where you actually see the movement of one of the aliens properly, like where he's running across the field and then he gets on the ship and you get a good close. Because usually they're all just flapping all over the place, ain't you, when you've seen them get in fights and stuff like that, and it's either animatronics or the CG wasn't the best at the time. But like I said, I thought the CG for him was really spot on for this one. But it was good. I enjoyed it. I liked it.
Excellent. Okay. Chris, what have you been? You've been binging anything?
We've been watching Moon Knight.
Oh, okay.
Which is absolutely wicked.
Yeah,
it's really good. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. So bit sad. It was only 6 episodes. It was quite a short one, and but no, yeah, it was really good, really interesting actually. I'm not like super familiar with Moon Knight beyond the meme of random bullshit go. So, but beyond that, yeah, I'm not really familiar with Moon Knight, and yeah, I still really enjoyed it. So, looking forward to what sort of angle that kind of brings to kind of Marvel universe in general. So I know that there are hints or there's glimpses of the Olympian gods in the trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder. So
yeah, definitely.
Obviously,
they seem to be bringing more of the gods into it now a bit, don't they?
Exactly. So that sort of side of things is kind of expanding and so on. So looking forward to that. So
yeah, I think I watched like the first 2 episodes. I enjoyed it what I watched, so I'll probably pick up the rest of it eventually. I think I've been watching Star Trek Picard, so I just finished that, and I've just watched the first episode of Strange New Worlds, which was actually quite enjoyable. A lot better than Discovery, which is a pile of horseshit. Though Ezra was poorly over the past few weeks, so we have been watching a lot of Fireman Sam. Nice. I have a theory, and I do have a theory. 2 theories actually. So here's the working theory, but it seems to be a popular working theory that that Norman Price is in fact Sam's illegitimate son.
I think I've heard that.
Yeah, look, there are only 2 gingers in the village. Norman has always seemed to be in a situation or starting fires or crime brulee, as he likes to call it. So what's he doing? He's trying to get his secret daddy's attention.
I like his style.
Like his style. So here's my final theory. I think they should do a Sanderford on poor Norman. One day, set fire to his room. He's accidentally super glued his hand to a door while the building burns around him. I'm just thinking, his poor mum's, because that shop's had so many fires. By now, insurance premiums must be through the roof. And just thinking,
bit suspicious.
Yeah, and think about it this way, all the the resources that little village fire station waste on Norman. I think sometimes just don't answer the call.
Speaking of
let him go.
Speaking of insurance,
just let him burn. It's all for the greater good.
The greater good.
The greater good.
We did actually watch Fuzz. We've over the last couple of weeks. So
It's such a good film.
The holidays.
Okay. Right. Well, let's move swiftly along to the episode. So this month, I should say, we're doing Star Wars month.
Yeah, we are.
Each episode for the next 4, we're going to be doing a part of these, the Star Wars universe. So this week we're starting with the original trilogy from 1977 to 1983. After that, we'll then be doing the prequel trilogy from 1999 to 2005. The following week we'll be doing the sequel trilogy when Disney took over from 2015 all the way to 2019, and then to finish all off we'll do the TV series, and we may touch on the holiday special, but I'm not holding out hope because oh my word, no.
Episode 8.
So anyway, let's get on to episode 18, the original trilogy. So I'll start off with this. So a long time ago, in an American town called Modesto, California, lived a young boy named George Lucas. He grew up loving Saturday matinee serials like Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon. This little boy eventually grew up, but was still inspired by these films. He became a director, and his first big hit was a comedy movie called American Graffiti, starring a certain handsome, scruffy-knuckle nerve herder. Next, he wanted to make an adaptation of one of his favourite serials that he grew up watching on a Saturday morning, Flash Gordon. However, he had no luck, he couldn't get the rights, so he wrote his own. And then he created the Star Wars. After a few drafts, he eventually finished the script for the take that we all know so well. The adventures of a farm boy, a princess, and a scoundrel. The rest is movie history. So, starting off, what is everybody's first memories of Star Wars? Chris, start with you.
Or the original trilogy.
Let's start off, just say the original trilogy.
Good, because it had the most confusing history with Star Wars. It's all a bit weird. My first memory of anything kind of Star Wars related was the fact that my primary school in the reception class, they had Star Wars figures as toys. Well, I mean, obviously as toys because they are toys, but they had Star Wars figures in the reception class. And my mum being a teacher, you know, a lot of the time I'd kind of like hang around after school in the building. And, you know, I'm in infants and what have you. I don't, you know, just go down the hall to the reception class and, you know, get all the Star Wars toys out.
More educational than the toys that they use now. Joking,
obviously, but yeah, that was my first kind of memory of it. That like, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think when the Ewoks cartoon was, because obviously I remember
that was mid-80s. Yeah,
and the droids cartoon as well. Which you know. So I'm pretty sure that I encountered them in reverse order because, and like I said, when you're a kid, you don't like things like Star Wars are kind of already ingrained in reality, if you see what I mean. They're already there, part of the zeitgeist and so on. So it was just something to kind of watch as and when, if you see what I mean, as opposed to, oh, well, I have to watch this. I'd never kind of had the kind of sense of what it was, if you see what I mean. So and like I'm pretty sure that Return of the Jedi remains my most watched Star Wars film, simply because that was the one I always ended up seeing. That was the one that was on TV and what have you. Because back in those days, you know, we didn't rent films or anything like that. You either saw it at the cinema or you waited till it was on TV. It was the same for yourselves and so on. But so yeah, and like I said, once it got to the point where I actually encountered and watched A New Hope, it was actually kind of like a sense of almost like achievement sort of thing, because it was like, wow, I've actually seen it now, and now the whole story makes sense. So yeah, a bit weird, but there you go.
I mean, I've got one takeaway from that. You had in primary school, you had Star Wars toys, because my primary school had stickle bricks, and that's just cruel.
Yeah, they had the Endor playset.
Wow, that's amazing.
I vividly remember and the Rebel transport ship.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
They had that. They had loads of stuff. I had Star Wars figures. Again, I didn't know who some of these characters were. So I had them in a bag. It was like a cloth bag, and I had all these Star Wars figures. And like the Gamorrean Guard.
Oh yeah.
I had him. I didn't have a Rancor or anything, but I had a Gamorrean Guard. I had Luke Skywalker. They must have been Return of the Jedi toys, because I had Luke Skywalker in his black suit.
Yeah, that would have been Return.
So that's Return. I'm not sure if I had a Darth Vader though.
No, I think I
definitely had a Chewie, and I definitely had an R2D2, but I don't think I had a C-3PO. How weird is that?
No, I don't remember. Oh, I did, because I remember I got it from Tesco in the shopping city, and it was in the little bag that went on Chewbacca's back, and the legs came and the arms came off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember having that. Yeah, because I remember seeing it in the Tesco. You remember the old big Tesco that used to be in the shopping city in the corner where?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it being in there.
Yeah.
We know when it was decent shopping, it was actually quite big in the toy section, not when it became tiny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that. I mean, my first memory is always going to be this too. So, like you, it was always the toys. I remember my first one was always a Millennium Falcon. I've in fact owned 3 over my lifetime. It was my original one. I bought one from a car boot set when my dad bought me it. So it was the Rebel Transport, the Millennium Falcon, and a tin full of figures and everything. My dad paid like a tenner for it. But they had inside it, they had a character called Yak Face, and he's probably one of the most valuable figures ever. Like one of the most valuable of Star Wars. Yeah, well, apart from Rocket Fire and Boba Fett, that was never sold, but apparently everybody had one. Yeah, I had it. I remember having it and seeing it like about 10 years ago, and a thing saying, "Oh, if you had this figure, it was worth like I think it was worth like you say it was in the packs, it's worth thousands because it was never released in America." Now it's collectible now. I think I'm seeing it going for like £150 still.
Right.
But yeah, but I was just saying, so I had 3 of the Millennium Falcons, and the most recent one was I bought when Tommy was probably around about 2. I was at a car boot sale in Morecambe one day when I was picking them up, taking them back. And there was a fella selling Millennium Falcon, and X-Wing, and a TIE Fighter. And I said, well, I went, how much for the Millennium Falcon? He went, £6. And I went, you what? And it was complete. I went, you what? £6? I said, yeah, take me money. Got out. Bought the X-Wing for £3. Bought the TIE Fighter for another £3 and got the hell out of there before somebody realised they just got away with day like robbery. Anyway, finally got what do you say?
I think I remember you talking about that in work one time.
Yeah, I've got home and realised, okay, it actually wasn't the original Kenner one; it was actually a Tonka one. So it was a repaint. So it was released like in '94 when they re-released the figures. But it was good. But it still went over worth about £50 complete until Tommy got his hands on it, and half the parts are everywhere. So yeah, it's lost all its value now. But I've got it now, so Tommy's had his use of it. Ezra will have it when he's a bit older.
Nice.
One of the other toys I remember, and I had one of the original lightsabers. So it wasn't like the ones that now would just light up and the swing and all the dancing. It was just a big like solid plastic tube with like a little crisscross at the top, and you swing around, it literally just make a noise, go whoom, whoom. But that was wind was going through it, so it just whistled by itself. It was really good. At these 2 colours. It wasn't blue or green. It was actually yellow or red. And I had the red one, the Darth Vader. It's probably the reason why when I first bought my proper lightsaber, when I got my first like proper wage from work now, I got the Darth Vader one, which I've still got it like nearly 10 years later, and it goes boom, 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 makes all the noises. It's brilliant. But I always remember Star Wars being on TV at Christmas. It was always on ITV.
Yeah.
Christmas Day. So I'd sit in my nan's because my parents would usually be out on the piss. And I'd watch it with my cousins or watch it on my own. And this went on for years. So every Christmas, Star Wars, Christmas Day, Star Wars, Christmas Day. Until about a couple of years, it must have been about 5 or 6, and then Empire Strikes Back was on. I was like, okay, what's this? I remember I didn't like Empire Strikes Back when I was a kid. I thought it was a bit too dark, a bit too scary. The only good bit I did like was the bit on the the ice planet Hoth.
Yeah, Hoth says.
And then the year after, it wasn't Empire Strikes Back, so Return of the Jedi. And going back to you're saying when we were kids, you either saw films in the cinema or you saw it on TV. My dad used to go get films from the video shop, and he had cables, so we to copy films.
Yeah.
I was used to say he bought like a VHS when it first came out. He was on good money at the time, and he'd he'd get porn films and copy them down to his mates and work. Anyway, but this time he used it for his son, and took I remember Empire Strikes Back, the day it came out on VHS, went to the video shop, rented it, took it to my auntie's, plugged the videos in and recorded it for me. But yeah, I remember.
You remember when you used to be able to put, speaking of copying, remember when you used to just record stuff off the TV? Like onto a video, if you had the video player, you used to be able to record and copy. Imagine doing that now. The amount of copying laws that you probably get done for and everything. Like, it was no problem back then, was it? I just realising you never used to have a problem doing stuff like that, and it was on that Christmas, and you always wanted to watch it again. You used to just stick your bloody blank tape in the recorder, push it down, and press record, and it record whatever's on the TV.
Oh yeah.
That's something. I'm surprised that was allowed back then, still as well.
Yeah, but like nowadays, you just Skype plus it, don't you?
Yeah, but that's not like a copy though, is it? Not like you're not recording it. Like you can't really sell that on. But like people probably would have put that on, wouldn't you? Like back then, if you recorded it off the TV and then like, oh, do you want to buy this?
Oh yeah, but I think back then they had special recording licenses, so you could record it for your own viewing. So I suppose if you sold it, then it's a grey area. But I know what you mean. But yeah, we all have our little own libraries with our own little labels. What else was I going to say? So maybe that. Yeah, I mean, growing up, I don't know what you lads think, but Return of the Jedi was my favourite to me mid-teens when Empire became my favourite. Like I said, it was a much darker film, and I think it was a much deeper film as well. I just end up appreciating it more. And Return of the Jedi actually eventually slipped to my bottom, like the least favourite of the original trilogy. And Star Wars, the original, yeah, it's always been in the middle, but it is the most fun to watch. I will say that the original Star Wars is just a really brilliant, well-made film. It just and it caught your imagination, didn't it? And you'd always remember playing Star Wars with your mates when you was kids. It was just magical and gripping. I remember the first time I bought them all on VHS. I bought when they first came out on widescreen. I mean, it was just like a letterbox. So we all had like square TVs back then. So it was just like a letterbox, but it was brilliant just watching like the whole thing, and it was in stereo. I've still got them to this day. I've had them 30 years.
Yeah.
Got those as well. But yeah, so that's my memories of it. Craig, what about you?
I'm a bit confused on where I first saw Star Wars. Like, I don't know if it's the films. I know for sure that I first watched the films at my nan's, but I think the first I was introduced to Star Wars was Ian's Bane of the Life video game, Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo.
To be fair, that is still my favorite Star Wars video game, though.
But that's I think that's because I had the Super Nintendo, and like I said, I think that is the first time I found out about Star Wars, because I got that as a present for a game, and then like I said, I'm sure it is. But then, movie wise, was at my nan's because she had them all on videotape as well, on VHS. So, but I'm sure it was that bloody god awful game, which not in god awful, but it's crap. It's just one that second drove you insane trying to complete the second thing. But I'm sure the first movie that I watched was, as Chris says, backwards, Return to the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. I don't know why it was that one, but I do know that the second one, like you said before, it was terrifying. I thought, as a kid, like the bit where he got his hand chopped off used to terrify me for some reason. And like I said, I never really knew much about. I did watch the first one, but I never really had as much to go off it on it. It was just the second and the third one, which the third one I did enjoy the most when I was a kid. But now, out of the original three, the second one is my favourite, I'd say. I do like The Empire Strikes Back.
Empire.
Yeah.
It sounds bad, but it's kind of a bit where the bad guys win.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
The bad guys win. You just felt really see it watching movies and stuff like. Well, like you said, the bad guys just like Han, frozen in carbonite, taking Luke in his hand, taking the rebels been chased off the ice planet. I can't remember the second name. They've been chased off. They've been chased off that planet as well. So it's just like I say, it was just a good one. Like that's what I think of it now. Like it's just one of my favourites. The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
like I said, I think it was about 8 or 9 when I first come around into Star Wars. So I think I was around that age. Because like I said, I was born in '87, so I said it's good mid-90s when I first got into the Star Wars scene. And it's weird to think though that all 3 movies have been out by then though as well.
Yeah,
I know, yeah, because I think I was 2 when the second one came out. When Return of the Jedi came out, Chris, you would have been about what?
Yeah, just
83, yeah, 83.
All 3 movies are out the time I'd watched them all and everything. But
yeah, I mean, I think.
But like I said, it's as a kid as well. Like just seeing lightsabers, it's probably one of the best things that you can. I think. But as you were saying, Chris, like watching them in the wrong order. When you're a kid and you like stuff, you don't really care about order. You watch stuff in, do you really? Like I said, you could watch anything in any order and it still makes sense. You don't need to know the story.
Yeah.
You're just more interested in what's happening on the TV. Like you don't really follow the story. You just like watching the action, watching the lightsaber swing around and the space fights and stuff. So that's what I enjoyed about it.
Yeah. Hold on, just 1 second. He needs to grab something.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking when Ian was saying about it, because, and then obviously it benefits from the fact that it's a trilogy. They knew it was a trilogy and what have you.
Yeah.
So they can, they can do that. They can set it up halfway through where, the Empire is winning and so on. And it's backward, it's backwards and forwards across the whole trilogy. So yeah.
I think episode 1. I do like it still now watching it, but I don't know what I did like about it when I was a kid. Like I just found it boring, really, because it doesn't really get good until the end. Obviously, you have the bit where they get trapped on the Death Star and you've got to escape, but I just don't think that as good as the other two movies. I think there's a lot more action when I was younger. So that's probably why I didn't watch it much.
I think that's more world building the first film.
Well, that's what I mean. It is more world building. Like, and as a kid, I probably didn't like I said. You're not bothered about the story. Like, you just like it because of what it is. It's Star Wars, but now obviously I appreciate the first one. But I'll tell you what I do like about the first one now. Like, and it's not even part of it. Well, it isn't. It isn't. If you, I don't know if you've seen on YouTube. There's the fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader.
Yeah.
There's someone who's done their own version of that fight in between the bits that you don't see, where it pans to Luke and Han and Leia. Like, and oh my god, it's awesome. You need to watch it. Like I said, it is amazing. And then it cuts back to like the original scenes. Like then it'll cut back, and then it'll go to the actual fights that the fan made people have done, and it is brilliant. Like I said, it is awesome.
It is really good. I did like it.
Oh, have you seen it? Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
I think the problem is it's a bit like what's called the uncanny valley. You're seeing it. If you're seeing it for the first time, you probably wouldn't. You probably wouldn't. Oh, you'd go, oh, that's brilliant. But I think because you've seen it so many times, you know that's not real, and it's just your brain struggles with it. But we'll probably cover that in the sequels part when it comes to character from the original Star Wars, Grand Moff Tarkin, when it was his face on top of some actor. It looked like him. It sounded like you knew it wasn't him, and it was messing with your brain.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant acting. Absolutely loved it. But yeah, I see what you mean with that. I mean, okay, so are we going to talk about the special editions?
Yeah.
Was it that the Big Bang Theory crew say, are we going to watch the movies? If you don't watch them soon, Lucas will change them again.
Yeah. Yeah, because for the 20th anniversary, they had loads of celebrations. I remember doing they did Tazos, didn't they? Star Wars Tazos in that little book. I've still got my completed one. I think I did some swaps with you, Chris, in school to
I think we did. Jeez, I've forgotten about them.
Yeah, no, I saw them. Well, I think they're in my mum's loft now, but I've still got them.
Wow.
I was hoping to sell them, but I don't think I'll get anything for them now. I think everybody's got them.
Yeah. Wow.
But
I've forgotten all about those types of things.
Because they re-released them to cinemas, didn't they? So I remember going to see, what one was it? I remember going to see the first one. So I went to see Star Wars in Liverpool with my cousin. And, it was brilliant seeing on the screen for the first time properly. But then they had the rebits. I mean, the thing that pissed me off the most about it had to be the cantina scene.
With the band and everything.
With the band and everything, but they had the aliens, and I always remember in the first film, there was this one scary scene. It's this werewolf with these red glowing eyes, and it was growling.
Yeah,
but it got cut out and got replaced by it was like an elephant alien, like drinking from a straw.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
And you've probably only if you've seen mainly the special editions, then you probably won't remember.
It's been years since I watched it. Obviously, it was like 8, 9 when I watched those ones. Like, but yeah, now you can't probably find them anywhere at all unless you have one the VHS.
Yeah, I mean, I've got them on VHS, but I do have them on DVD as well, because when they released the DVDs in 2006, they released a special 2-disc edition. It's only ever done once, and it was so one disc was the the special edition, second disc was the originals in the square format with the ripped from a laser disc. So that's got all of it. So I've always kept hold of them.
The special edition, is that the one where they had Han Solo stepping on Jabba's tail?
Yeah, so they had to put a CG.
Yeah, see, that was terrible. The CG on that was.
That's what they thrown too much CG into it. I think some of the scenes are good when you put the CG in, but like the bit where they're going through the canteen, like the amount of CG that they've thrown into that, where there's loads of things around. You need to put so much stuff in it. Like you could have put a couple of things in it, CG, but the amount of like animals and things flying around and everything, you just didn't need to put into it. Like I said, you just could have kept it as it was. Maybe add one or two more animals, whatever the creatures are, and then left it. But the amount of stuff that they put into it was a bit daft, I thought.
Yeah.
Well, they added, like, for example, the stormtroopers riding the big things. I can't remember what they're not.
Dewbacks.
Yeah, that's it. I was about to say it's not Panthers. Yeah, the Dewbacks, and that was fine. I was fine with that. I was a bit because what I liked about the original Star Wars, and you get this with a lot of kind of sci-fi fantasy films from that time, is obviously because it's pre-CGI stuff, all the creatures, it's all practical effects. And I know that, as CGI came in and they were like, oh, well, look what we can do with it all and so on. And yes, so nowadays it's so stupidly realistic. It's just mental.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I get why they were excited about it, because they could do things that were completely beyond what they could do with animatronics and puppets and models and what have you. But there is something really, really nice about having practical effects.
Yeah, agreed.
That you do kind of lose to a degree. Like I said, nowadays the technology is so stupidly advanced that you can't really, I don't mind it. I don't have a problem with CGI and what have you. I like it. I do like it when it comes up, when you do still get like practical effects, or when they blend the two, because nowadays you can blend practical effects with CGI and you can't tell. There's no, you can't see the seams, sort of thing. Whereas, thinking about stuff like the old like Walking with Dinosaurs series, for example, where they had some of it was CGI and some of it was like, a guy with a hand puppet pretending to be a dinosaur's mouth, and so you can tell the difference. Whereas nowadays you just can't. So,
well, that's what, like, speaking of CGI, you said there's that movie Gravity.
Never seen it. Don't particularly want to watch it.
Well, there's literally a bit at the beginning. Is it Sandra Bullock in it?
Yeah.
There's literally a bit at the beginning where she's turning something on the outside of the ship. It's literally like a tap. She's turning a tap, and that tap's not there. It's CGI. Literally, I was like, "You're joking? You've literally CGI a tapping, and she's turning a hand as you would a tap." And like I said, you couldn't have got a practical to the fucking thing here, but like you said, you don't notice though. It's that good, like the CGI. But like I said, it's only because I was watching it's on that thing that I watched that called The Crew, and they were going over it, like virtually everything in that scene CGI. Like literally, she's turning a tap. But it's just like that's what I say. What you're saying, how good CGI is with practical things, with her just moving a hand, looking practical, and then obviously they put the CGI in it to put the tap in it.
Yeah, I just like the like, and with the special editions, like I said, some of the things, great, but some of them were just so, especially if you've got the same thing, like you've literally got a practical effect Jabba, like later on. And then you've got this weird CGI thing that's
weird
just
shiny.
Yeah, and like I said,
Remember-
I know I appreciate that they will be excited, like, oh look, we can make Jabba walk or slime or slither around, what we can make him move, make him more animated, or yeah, I get why you're excited and so on, but the difference between that and then the practical effects, it is quite jarring.
Was that scene ever filmed in the original for Han Solo to do with the practical
Yeah, it was.
one?
No, so what it was.
Took it out because obviously Han Solo looks young. I know they can make people look young and stuff like that, but it does look like it's the proper practical in it when you see it.
Yeah, so what it was a. What was it? It was a standing actor. It was an Irish actor. I can't remember what his name was. So anyway, he did all the scenes. So they had to get away around walking around. He just like CGI'd Han going up and like he was standing on his tail.
Standing on his tail, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how they got around that, because he was circling while he was talking to him. But yeah, so I think out of all the films, Star Wars and Return of the Jedi probably suffered the most from those changes, especially Return of the Jedi with that fucking musical number.
I was watching that before, and I was just like, "Oh my god!"
It's proper cringe, isn't it?
Yeah, the absolute cringe factor, and I think that probably made me push Return of the Jedi further down into my least favorite parts. Because why did he?
Just why?
Yes, why? Just stick to the original song he had. It was only in for a little bit, and we got to see the Max Rebo, the little elephant dude. I remember getting that for Christmas.
Quick quiz. As I said, quick quiz while we're here about on the Star Wars movies, the original 3. Can you name 2 of the Mandela effects in the movies?
The what?
Do you know what a Mandela effect is?
Yeah, it's the whole thing where people think, or society as a whole think something is true, where it's actually not. Like the Monopoly guy having a monocle.
Yeah,
he's
doesn't
never
have
had a
monocle. So
it's named after Nelson Mandela because it's because people thought he was dead.
Well, no, people thought he died in jail. That's why, and he didn't actually die in jail. He died like 20 years when he got out of jail.
Yeah,
so
when he was president of South Africa.
President as well, South Africa. Yeah, so they call it the Mandela effect. But there's two.
I think at the time he was still alive.
Yeah, and there's 2 scenes that I know in Star Wars. If do you reckon you know what they are?
Is it the whole Luke, I am your father?
That's one of them.
That's one of them.
Because that's not the line.
It's not Luke, I am your father. It goes,
no, I am your father.
It's just I am your father.
Everyone thinks it's Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
And there's one more that I know of.
Is that the slave girl's tip pops out before she goes into the thing? Because that actually is true. I did it like a freeze frame search.
No, I didn't know about that one, but there you go. No, the other one is C-3PO. His leg.
What's silver?
Yeah, one of his legs is silver.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks like he's just fully gold, but like I said,
I knew one was silver.
And one silver. But if everyone went to what colours this person like legs without looking at him, they would say gold normally. But you go, no, one of them's actually silver, and you're like, shut up, one's not silver, and then one is actually silver.
Yeah, one of his calves is silver.
Yeah, it's the right from the right knee down. It is. It's silver.
Intriguing. I'll tell you what though, in the special editions, I'll probably say that Empire Strikes Back probably benefits the most from it, because it adds a couple of scenes, but to the benefit of the film. It makes some changes, which also to the benefit of the film. Like they brought in they brought in Ian McDermott, who played the Emperor in Return of the Jedi, so they replaced him with the actor from the first film, which was actually apparently a woman with a monkey's like eyes, CG, don't know, photo like monkey's eyes and cheeks like superimposed onto the face.
Like surgically added.
Yeah, no, yeah, surgically. I didn't like cut a monkey up and then slap it to her face. No, it was like superimposed. But little fun fact there. But yeah, I like that change. Did some changes to Cloud City, so you had more windows.
Yeah,
so you could see
was it Bespin?
Bespin, that's it. Yeah. So
yeah.
But can we just discuss the elephant in the room when it comes to Star Wars, and more specifically, The Empire Strikes Back?
The Bantha in the room.
The Bantha in the room. Well done.
Nice.
Well done.
The what? Yeah, the what?
The Bantha. Instead of the elephant, we're talking about the Bantha in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be Luke and Leia. After that kiss in the medical bay, did more happen?
Oh, we don't.
I'm just saying. It's never been addressed what happened afterwards.
Well.
Yeah. And how did Luke react when he's on in Return of the Jedi, sat in Dagobah talking to Ben Kenobi, and he goes, "Leia's my sister." Did he not have a massive freak out saying, "Just wait, I've been having awkward boners about her for years"?
You think
she necked me in hot, possibly more. And let's face it, he saved her like half an hour before when she's wearing a little gold bikini. No, you're not thinking that he's got an awkward boner when he's saving her. He's thinking he's on something, and then she's realised that she's hooking up with
a weird scene that they put that in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like somebody somewhere has gone, it'd be a good idea. It's like,
I know who addressed it the best. Who actually addressed this rumor head on. That was Family Guy when they did the Star Wars Trilogy.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, and what's it? So It's a Trap. When
yeah,
you knew my existence. You knew I was just oh yes, Leia says, oh yeah, I've always known. And he said, well, look, you kissed me. He said, well, I'm from Alderaan. That's like the what was it? The Alabama of the galaxy. To be fair though,
go on.
To be fair though, that trilogy did I thought they couldn't beat the incest storyline between Luke and Leia, but it was when Darth Stewie said to basically proposition Luke after he told him he's your father. So oh yeah, man, we'll let's take over the galaxy. Yeah, we'll get stuff done. Just do two dudes doing things together. And maybe sometimes they have sex. He just so casually just mentions to his own son that he wants to bone him.
I like Family Guy.
While we're on here, let's talk about the games as well. Let's just quickly go on the games for
before we go to the games, though. I was going to say, episode 1 still probably has one of the best bloopers from all 9 of the movies.
What?
Episode 1 probably still has one of the best bloopers out of all the 9 movies.
Well, when we get to the prequels in the next episode, we'll discuss it then.
But no, I'm just saying. Not saying that episode 1, episode 4.
Episode 4.
Yeah. The first one out of the 9, which is number 4.
Star Wars.
As one of the best bloopers. Still has the best blooper out of all 9 of them. Is the Storm.
Yeah, that's what I like, because he never did that in the original. But when they did the special editions, he actually added the clink.
Yeah, they kept it in as well, though, which is just brilliant. Because they basically took it out, but they still just kept it in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll do 2 more, and then we'll wrap it up for this week. So, firstly, before we move on to the games, who was your favourite character in the Star Wars trilogy? Chris, go.
I liked Wedge. I thought Wedge was awesome because he was a pilot, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not like a main character or something, but I liked the fact that you had this character who was like a constant in the. It's wicked, and he's got a name, he's got a backstory. He's a talented pilot, sort of thing. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. There was lots of little things about that, and I know we've already mentioned like the world building and so on. That was something that I always liked about Star Wars. The fact that they built it, but they didn't feel the need to go overboard and explain everything.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Rings. Yeah,
they just had it like, this is it. Deal with it. If you want to know more, go buy books and stuff. I turned around and look at my bookcase. I don't think it's here. And to be honest, I have no idea where it's ended up. I had a guide to Star Wars vehicles, and it was before the prequels, so it was just the main three, the original three. But it also included like books and stuff that followed. So it's got stuff like the Sun Crusher and so on.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't. I mean, I've not read that book and what have you, but yeah, and all that sort of, all the background stuff that was accessible even before the internet. It was accessible because they had books and stuff. People wrote all this stuff, all this information, and I think Wedge Antilles just kind of encapsulates that. Is like, you've got this character. He's not one of the main characters, but he's there. He's prominent, and so on. And yeah, I just think that's wicked.
Yeah. Okay. I like Wedge. Plus, played by the brilliant Dennis Lawson, who is Ewan McGregor's uncle.
Yep. Yes,
and
indeed.
And he does make this cameo appearance in the last film as well.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. Okay, so Craig, who is yours?
I'm gonna go with 2, and it's a duo, R2D2 and C3PO.
Hey.
Like, only because it's R2D2 is such a funny character, and he doesn't have to say anything because C3PO interpret it and respond with something that's from what he's supposedly said, which I just love. Like I said, I've just watched the movies and I can't even think of the funny things what they said to each other. But like how he's always mad at him because he said something cheeky or obnoxious to him. He's like, I don't like you two and stuff like. They're not just like bouncing off each other. But like I said, I just love them two on the bounce, and they've always, well, I was going to say they've always been together, but obviously they haven't because of they didn't meet until, was it episode 2, something like that, or episode 3?
They met in episode 1.
But did you meet? But they did. C3PO didn't come into the gang until episode 2, was it?
Yeah.
Or did something like that? But yeah, I like C3PO and R2D2.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with Chris. I'm going to go with a background character, and that is Bosk, the bounty hunter. He's only in one little scene of Empire Strikes Back, but he's the big lizard Trandoshan bounty hunter. But he's wearing, funnily enough, it's an outfit that was used in Doctor Who, the 10th Planet, the last episode of William Hartnell with the Cybermen in. It's one of the outfits from that. So they just, they must have had it from the BBC. Just put this alien makeup, alien prosthetics on there, and it's just a brilliant character. He says one word, that's scan.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that he can turn up in Book of Boba Fett, which I'm bitterly disappointed he wasn't in. But he's always, when I played Battlefront, the newer games for the PlayStation, I always like to go as Bosk.
I had a Bosk figure.
I Tommy actually got me for Christmas about 2-3 years ago, a Bosk figure.
Nice.
Bosk and Dengar, so I've still got that up in my collection upstairs. But yeah, so it's Bosk for me because it's like his background character is less character from Edge, but I've got like the Book of the Bounty Hunters, so it's Tales of the Bounty Hunters, and it gives his backstory, and it's brilliant. I just like, it's just more rich backstory in the background, that you don't. It's not in the films, but if you want to seek it out, it's there. Unlike Lord of the Rings, which just tries to pile everything on you at the same time. Not that I'm moaning. But yeah, so that's mine. So let's move on to the Star Wars games. So we're going to stick to the original trilogy. What is everybody's favourite game based on that trilogy? I'll start with mine. That is Super Star Wars. I know it's the bane of my life. I finally completed it when I was 35, but I finally completed it.
And then they came to me and I was like, "You've only just completed it?" And you're like, "Yes." I didn't know I was a kid, but it was a bit. They take me second ages to do it, but
it's punishingly difficult, but it's also fun at the same time. So you would go back to it. Especially just that it was that stage with the Jawas when you're climbing the sandcrawler. When I watched the second episode of The Mandalorian when he's chasing the Jawas, it just instantly took me back to watching that.
Yeah, it's that level on that way you actually go inside of it. 'Cause you climb it first, don't you, on the outside, and then you actually go inside of it. When you get to the boss at the end of it, you have to drop down, and if you didn't land on a certain bit, you die straight away, and that's what used to kill me all the time. Once I got past that bit, I was fine, and then I could complete it. But that bit just used to get on my nerves so much, and I used to get killed all the time there. But if I managed to do it, I was fine, and I could complete it. But yeah, that was the bane of my life on that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was I didn't when I was a teenager. I think the only one at the time I completed was Return of the Jedi. That's because I had like passcodes and it took me months to do.
I don't know the other two. I didn't have that time.
Empire Strikes Back is by far the most difficult. It is classed as one of the most difficult games, and it is just punishingly difficult. I had up to the NES as well. I remember my dad bought it. Went to Toys R Us when he came. He'd been working away. And it's the first time I ever saw a £50 note because he's got really upset for paying £50 for a video game. But that was really fun, but really hard as well. So that was made by, I think it was Virgin Games that made that one. Or it might be LG. I'll have to remember. I'm sure it was Virgin Games, but it was I had it for the Game Boy as well, so it was a port of that, and that was same game, just fun, but really difficult. Chris, what about you?
I haven't really played many Star Wars games, to be honest. I mean, I had growing up, I had a Sega Game Boy, and it was quite a while before we got a computer in the house. And Star Wars was, I think with Star Wars, because of the way a lot of the games were, so they're all fairly kind of high-end games and so on. So, but I did play a bit of X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
That's a good game.
On basically anyone whose house I kind of went round to, and they had a computer or what have you, and they had that. Yeah, I played a bit of X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. All I can remember is like you'd be like there, like flying around sort of thing, and you'd see these Star Destroyers like way out, and you'd just be like, oh crap. So and then obviously you'd go in and you'd be dodging around them all and what have you. I mean, it was really cool. I mean, I think that's along with lightsaber battles, the starship battles were, they're like synonymous with Star Wars, aren't they? So whether it's like X-wings and Y-wings and everything, like going down the trenches of the Death Star or the big massive Star Destroyer or something like that. So that was my favorite anyway. That was I enjoyed playing that. It was cool.
Craig, Super Star Wars yours, or you got another one?
I'll let you have that one, but I've got another one, and it's going to be from an old episode of our arcade games, the Star Wars, the original 3D arcade one with the joystick. You go around doing the shooting, or you get to go on the speed bikes, or you're on. I can't say that bloody ice planet's name.
Corp then, didn't you?
Corp, yeah. Is it Top? Is it Top?
Hot.
It's not hot. It's not hot at all.
It's cold.
It's very cold.
Hoth, you get to do lightsaber battles on it and stuff like that, and you get to do the space fights on it. But if you didn't have enough pound coins, it's fucking eat your money, like. But like I said, I love that arcade game. I thought it was brilliant. It was a really good one.
Okay, brilliant. Well, what we'll do is we'll wrap it up with this part of Star Wars month. Next week we'll be talking about the prequels. Yay!
Not too bad, people.
I know, I'm only joking. Okay, well, right, we'll catch you all next week, everybody. Take care and stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey Alexa, play the Geeky Dads podcast.
Purchasing creepy dog masks.
No, Alexa, play the Geeky Dads podcast.
Buying freaky dildo dog cat.
No, Alexa, you utter boob. Hey, Beastman, have you been fucking with my Alexa again?
Attention listeners, we are experiencing technical difficulties and will be back next week for another episode of the Geeky Dad podcast. Thank you for choosing the Geeky Dads for your listening leisure.